We didn't blink. Those were the words from Kirby Smart after a 42-20 win by the Georgia Bulldogs over the Florida Gators. There's a lot to unpack with this one. From this Georgia side of things, it felt like a tale of two halves. In the first half, Georgia was in a lot of ways pretty dominant, right? I mean, 28-3 going into the second half. And for Georgia, they looked a lot like their profile picture. They lived up to the hype. Everyone has that friend that they, more or less have a presence on social media, and they portray a lot of things, whether they're true or not. They kind of portray those things. Well, Georgia had portrayed a lot of things. There was a lot of conversation around them. There was a lot of hype around them. And in that first half, it was, yep, that's exactly who you are. What you've talked about, what you have been perceived to be, that's who you are. We expect you to be in your profile picture. That's what we saw in the first half from Georgia. Stetson Bennett was slinging it around. Darnell Washington was a freak show over the middle. Brock Bowers makes a Cirque du Soleil kind of catch, gets in the end zone. The defensive team speed was freakish. I mean, we saw them look freakish multiple times, especially against Oregon in week 1. But yesterday in that first half, they had AR neutralized. Smile Munden was back, flying sideline to sideline. There was a lot of good things in this first half to take away if you're a Georgia fan. And you probably finished that first half saying, oh boy. Line got all the way up to, I think, 24 on game day, favoring the Bulldogs, minus 24 that is. And if you had money on that, you're saying, about to cash this ticket in, baby. The Bulldogs got a little bit of their swagger back, if you know what I'm saying. I've never lost it, but it felt like in this game, it was about to get ugly. Now, turn your attention to the second half. And my thought is maybe there was a lack of interest. Maybe they kind of got bored being up 28-3. Maybe it was a lack of experience. There's a lot of things you look at when it comes to this. Also just a rivalry game, but they kind of let Florida back in the game. Not kind of, they did. It was 28-20 in this third quarter. They got tested. And not that we haven't seen them be tested before, but credit to Georgia because this was the first time in a dangerous situation had they been tested where Florida had the assets in a talented quarterback in Anthony Richardson and some talented players on the defensive side of things, as down bad as they are in terms of their statistical performance. They had the facilities to be able to win that game yesterday. Like, you were never super worried against Missouri. Even when it got in late, I kind of always felt like, when's Georgia going to want to be Georgia and just kind of take care of things? Florida was very much in position to make this game a headache and have it be a different conversation this morning. Now, this is where I think you feel good about yourself as a Georgia fan on Sunday. Exactly what we said to start the video off. We didn't blink. There was a lot of opportunity to start to panic and be frantic and be concerned about what the end result was going to be. But Georgia, even after their 2 turnovers, the interception from Bennett in the second half, the fumble, I mean, there was a lot of opportunities to panic, and they didn't. In fact, they just got stronger. After that, you saw the offense pick it up and scored, I believe it was 2 more times. And then you also saw the defense, they got 3 stops on downs in the second half. They just sort of bowed up, straightened their back, flexed their muscles, and said, nope, not how this is going today. And obviously this is impressive because it's a program that is, I think, very much still far from a finished product in terms of the best football we're going to see from them this year, which is scary for everybody else. They have more in the tank. They showed that in this game. But even more so, this game and this situation for Georgia, having to be on the ropes, having to eat a punch in the second half, having to put their foot back on the gas pedal, that's going to benefit them later in the year. That's going to be something that comes back in games, whether it's in the SEC title game, whether it's in the playoff, whether it's next week when you welcome the Tennessee Volunteers to town. They will be better for it because of having been in a situation where, quite frankly, AR and company could have made this a different conversation. And so Kirby Smart said as much. Everyone wants to say that we're there. We're the defending national champions. We've got some hardware. We've got a quarterback that's been there. We recruit just about as well, if not better, than anybody else in the country. Everybody wants to put us up here. And the reality is, folks, we're still climbing. We're not there yet. And Kirby Smart, I promise you, he is smiling internally just a little bit that they were able to get that kind of test and have that now. They can show their players and say, see, that rat poison, we can't eat it. I'm not implying that they were eating it to begin with, but I'm saying if you thought that you were there, look at that tape. We're not yet. And that's a dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing for the rest of the college football landscape. So for Georgia, here's the two takeaways, I think, to sum this whole thing up that you have leaving this game. The first is you worry because Kirby was right. Right? I mean, you worry because you saw some, I don't want to say weaknesses, but you saw some points that are still growing. I mean, there was a busted coverage in the second half that Kirby Smart was like, yeah, that was just a huge swing of momentum. Momentum swung back towards Florida for a minute there. And you saw some mortality be at least visible for this Georgia program. So you're saying, oof, that's there. It exists. That kind of gives you some worry. Maybe worry is a strong word. It gives you something to think about. The other side of things is you're pumped because, like I said, when you find yourself back in this situation, this won't be the first time you've been in a street fight. You can't just walk into a dark alley, get in a street fight for the first time, and know exactly what you're doing. It takes some muscle memory. It takes some emotional recall. It takes a lot of different things to have your best performance in that kind of a setting. So when the stakes are higher, when there is some hardware on the line, Georgia's going to be ready. I promise you that. They're going to be ready. We're going to preview and predict that Tennessee game on this channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. Huge thank you to all the Georgia faithful that have already done that, the Georgia Bulldog fans that have subscribed to this party already. We love you. We appreciate you. Get everybody else on board. We'll have a real good time. We are live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Don't want you to miss out on that. We'll get the live chat going. It'll be an absolute blast. Again, I'm J.D. Piquel. Nick Brake does the heavy lifting. We're so fired up to have y'all here. College football season, the beauty of it, the climax is just around the corner. It's going to be a good time. I want you a part of it. So until then, we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.